And we're going to start officially. Okay, everyone, I am so excited to start the second introductory free class for the Change Your Mind, Change Your Life course. And I'm going to start off by saying that this is a Hakel gathering for Hashem to spread his light and spread his name and get connected to ourselves, because Hashem resides in us and outside of us and through us and all over the place. So as we meet ourselves, we actually meet Hashem. So yes, this is going to be a Hakel gathering to spread Hashem's name and light. Okay, we are going to start. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? No, okay, fine. So we are going to actually share my screen and do a little bit of a review. Let's see. Let's go to share screen. Share screen. Oh, whoops. Did I just X out? Hold on, everyone. Escape. Sorry. Hold on a second. Share screen. Okay. Share. Let's do slideshow. Okay, so can you guys see me? I'm assuming you can. I see Sandy for some reason. I don't know. Okay. So last time we actually did this class, we discussed the whole idea of consciousness, and we discussed who in fact we are, right? And we said that although we have a physical body and we have a neshama, we are in fact neither of those entities. We are actually a force that is constantly moving between the powers of both, the power of the body and the power of the neshama. And this energetic force that is completely like moving between these two forces is really who we are, because it's this force of energy that gets to decide whether or not we're going to listen to the vision of the body, which is all about staying safe and staying in a comfort zone. And the consequence of that usually is in staying small, in staying insignificant in a certain sense, or who we are. We can choose to activate our free choice, right? And hone into the power of the neshama, our individual powers, and bring it out into this physical experience of being here in the present moment, and choosing to override the subconscious mind, right? And pull through the soul powers that are really ours to take ownership of, in a way, by removing the blockages that don't let us shine our light, right? And that is going to be through overcoming the subconscious, right? Because at the end of the day, nothing really is ours. We don't really have true power. Do I truly have power to, let's say, speak? Hashem could take that away from me in any second, right? It's not really my power to be able to express content and create inspiration. It's really Hashem's power coming through my neshama. But if I overcome my subconscious, right, which keeps me wanting to hide, maybe keeping me wanting to not open my mouth and share and speak, if I overcome all these things, right, that hold me back from using my soul power, then I can now take ownership. I can feel a sense of pride. I can feel a sense of accomplishment that, yes, I do have the power to express beautiful ideas about Torah and Hashem and humanity and how we evolve and work. And I've done work to be able to use this talent, right? So that's just a review of last week or 2 weeks ago. And that's why we have this visual up of consciousness, that really who we are is a deep awareness of self. And the trap that oftentimes takes hold of us is in identifying with our thoughts and our emotions And really, those are not who we are, but rather those are part of the subconscious. The subconscious's means of telling us to stay in protection, right? It's the language of a lot of times the subconscious. And we have to recognize that, no, we are not the things we struggle with emotionally. We're not necessarily we are not the anxiety. We are not the depression. We are not the panic. Right? This is all part of the force that we have to learn to rise above. In fact, right, we are the consciousness that chooses between body or soul. Okay, so that was last week. Now we're going to go back. Okay, I could see everyone. Amazing. Claire, so fun to see you. So now we're going to move forward with new content. Okay, so today we actually have a lot of information. Plus, the name of the class is I don't even remember the name. Unlocking your hidden light, right? Which is all about Chanuka, and the whole idea of Chanuka is about light and what it's talking about. So I want to be able to connect it all to Chanuka and our light. That's really hugely the point. There is a ton of information, but if I'm going to be going too fast, I would like people to put in the question box questions, or put a hand up, or you can even and then you can unmute yourself. I'll call you and you can, ask me to re-explain something, or just if you need clarity. Great, because I want more than like running through the information, which I think I've done in the past, leaving a lot of people overwhelmed, because there's just so much amazing information that I really think services people to know, but I think it also needs to be given in a way that you can actually absorb it. So please let me know if you need a pause or clarity. Fine. So we're going to actually move now to this slide. I'll show you. The slide is, let's see if I can get there. Okay. Okay. Consciousness, the force between your body and your soul, is going to get very busy and is going to go where you focus, right? We could all relate to like when we were in school and we were in Bear Tefillah class, right? And our teachers are telling us like, yeah, when you daven, make sure you're not going to the mall, right? Make sure you're like in your sitter. But wait, you're in your classroom davening, right? What does it mean? Like they joke around like davening is where people should really be saying like Tefillah Sadarach, right? Like the traveling prayer, the prayer we say when we travel, right? Because oftentimes when we daven, all of a sudden our thought process goes to our to-do lists, or goes to somewhere outside of where we really are, which is just sitting on a chair davening, or right. And that's actually where we go. We are consciousness, right? And our consciousness goes to where we focus. Okay. This is already opening the path to making you realize that our mind is not just this cool computer that remembers things and keeps us alive. This is actually a vehicle to how we're going to start to activate our potential, from hiding behind the subconscious need to protect ourselves towards pulling through our soul powers. When we understand that we are indeed consciousness, and our consciousness is always going to go to where we focus ourselves, we start focusing on our focus. And that's very powerful, right? Because if we don't realize that we are actually where we are focusing, then we let our minds run haywire and we travel to many places that we don't really want to travel to energetically. Okay. And I'm going to explain to you why it matters where we are energetically within our mind. Let me explain to you why. I want to first ask you a question. Do you all feel your feet right now, the floor that your feet is resting on? Your feet are resting on? Do you notice that sensation of the floor underneath your feet? Because before I asked you this question, I'm assuming you probably didn't feel the floor under your feet, but now you do. Why? Because before, your focus wasn't on your feet and the floor. Your focus was on listening to this class. So where were you? You were with me. You were not with your feet. But as soon as your focus went to your feet, you became aware of it. That's an example of where your focus brings you. And obviously, we focus on many things, many places, and things that we don't really want to focus on, but we just get there, right? We are where we focus. We have to realize this. Now, another thing, all of us have been through challenging experiences in life. That's just a fact, right? And some of us rehash the past over and over and over again, and some of us don't. What happens if a child was smacked by her mother, let's say 10 times in her childhood? But for her, this was so traumatic that she rehashes it in her mind thousands of times. And you take someone else who was smacked 100 times as a child. She rehashed it once, okay? These two individuals are going to have a totally different relationship to being smacked as a child. For one, the child that was smacked, let's say only 10 times, that experience is going to be alive and kicking in her energy body, in her consciousness, because her focus is in this injustice that was done to her. Every time she brings herself back to that memory of being hit as a child, she literally brings herself past the experience she's in right now, but into the past and into that same experience. Energetically, she brings her consciousness out of this time and place. At this moment, we can cut through time with energy, and energy is created through your mind, through focus, and she literally brings herself into that negative experience. She traumatizes herself many times by rehashing this experience many times, right? She is in the experience of this trauma and she rehashes it over and over and over again, unlike the person that was maybe hit 100 times but never really brought it up after that, okay? So this is the power of our focus, and it's consequence of where we go, where we are in the world, in our homes. It could be running around and, taking care of our families, but really be in work, right? We can be totally in work, doing work and thinking about everything we have to take care of at work and pressures at work, right? Maybe this is more relating to like a husband, a man, a father. But you guys get the point. So we're going to go to the next slide. And I'm going to tell you like this. This is why it's so important to actually understand this thought, because consciousness actually creates. And the more where we put our consciousness is what actually will end up manifesting and becoming created. Or I can't say guaranteed because I'm not Hashem, but according to the way the world works and according to nature and science, which I'll prove to you, we create based off of our focus. And this is why meditation works. And this is why the Sfarim all bring out the concept of visualizing and seeing a person for their light, and visualizing and seeing your future, and seeing what you desire, seeing your goals, already in your mind. Why is there so much mind work? You look at any successful business program is going to tell you, visualize every single day, have a vision board, see yourself in 10 years, or see yourself in whatever it is in a year with all these clients, with making this amount of money. Visualize that every single day. Why? Because your consciousness, which is your focus, actually creates. And this is all about the world. It's brought down to the Sfarim that the world is literally a magnetic field, and your mind is the magnetic mind. And the things in your life that are manifested are very, very much linked to your thought processes. I know that's a little bit hard to swallow because, including myself, right? I've also had challenges in my life that I was like, there is no way my thoughts created this. I don't want this. How could I have created this, right? But yes, looking back now after years of doing inner work, I see very deeply how my past, right, and my traumas were the vehicle to plant in my mind negative thinking that later manifested into dysfunctional situations in life that created a lot of pain and challenge for me. But that becomes the raw material in my life to produce something absolutely amazing and lets me use it as the playing field to bring out my greatness. Right? So even though we're like, hey, it's not fair. Someone that went through, let's say, a lot of trauma or a lot of pain is going to automatically have their consciousness going towards more negativity, right? But that's okay, because that negativity, and I'm going to explain it much more in actually the course. I can't go into deep explanation now, but that negativity and all that pain ends up becoming literally the raw material to extract that person's soul powers and bring them into this world manifestation at this physical time. Okay. So it's actually not fair. It ends up working for the person. But the path is definitely harder, definitely. But when it comes to consciousness, right, where we're focusing is what we're going to end up creating. And when we become aware of our awareness, right, we start to have way more power in saying, hey, what do I want to create today? Do I want to create a bad day? Do I want to wake up this morning and say, oh my, it's raining outside and I hate how I look and my house is a mess and we're missing the bus and my life is terrible? Well, if I'm going to complain about that, I'm just going to create that, right? What type of day do I want? So before I start just letting my thoughts run wild, I have to actually start saying, what type of day do I want? And therefore, what type of thoughts do I want to think, right? So that's very, very important. And I wrote over here that we're all magicians, but instead of having magic wands, we have magic minds. Change your mind, change your life. We have magic minds. And when we truly understand this, and when we're truly aware of this, we start to create magic in our life. And that's amazing. It says that the whole concept of abracadabra is avra, I will create, kedabra, like I will speak. And it's brought down in the Hasidic works, right? That there's 4 main worlds of creation. There's the world of the neshama, which is the highest level, atzilos, and then there's the world of thought. There's the world, and then underneath there's the world of speech, and then the world of action. And most of the time we think that in order to get something done, I need to do hishtadlos, I need to do a lot of action. But really, the most potent creation is based off of the higher level you go in the world. So if you're going to stay at action, that's the lowest level. If you go to speaking, which we see magic can happen through speech, speech is so powerful. Avra kedabra, I will speak. I will create like I speak, right? But that's right above action. What's on top of that? The world of thinking and thought. People don't realize that. But more than just I will create what I will speak is I will create what I am thinking 100%. And it's actually brought down that like a halacha that if a person is going into a forest, like there's a whole group of people going into a forest and one person is scared that a wild animal will come and harm them, the whole group is not allowed to go in. Why? Because now it's a sakana. It's a sakana for the group because you have one person that's fearing, right, that an animal is going to come and his consciousness is going to be connected to that fear. And that may, in fact, magnetically be drawn to him, putting the whole group in a sakana. This is the power of our minds. We must know this. Okay. And Rabbi Nachman tells us right straight out that the one thing in the world we should not do is be in fear. He says the world is a narrow bridge, but one thing we should know, don't be in fear. Because fear is an emotion that pulls your consciousness to it. And that can create the outcome that you don't want, right? Now, it's much easier said than done, not being in fear. Not being in fear takes a lot of inner work, learning to override that subconscious mind that's geared towards protecting you, but oftentimes sabotaging us in the process, right? That takes a tremendous amount of inner work, but that's the point of life, to do it, get to that place. Okay, so next, does anyone have any specific questions? You can unmute yourself and come out if you want. Anyone have any questions? Is there anything in the question box? I'm curious. How do I see that? Oh, chat. Let's see. Can you give an example of two Sfarim that see this? Yeah, the Hasidic works. So all the Sfarim say that. So many of the Sfarim say this, but you're going to see it in the Hasidic works. So I know Rabbi Zev Reichman, Introduction to Flames of Hasidus. I have the book. Actually, it's not with me right here, but it's in my house. And he talks about this. He talks about the world being a magnetic field and our minds being the force to draw it to us. Definitely. We're meant to be co-creators with Hashem. So we have a lot of bechira here in how we're going to use our mind. But there also has to be a lot of counteracting negative force. Otherwise, we can't take ownership of this, right? We have to have free choice lies between two equal forces, right? The good and the bad. And then we get to choose. If it's just all good and obvious and there's no negative force, then what are we choosing already? We're just obviously, right? So if I only have if I have a piece of chocolate cake and a piece of broccoli, and I don't care at all about health, and I just want that chocolate cake, and I want to eat what tastes better, right? Then I'm just like, there's a chocolate cake, right? Obviously I'm going to take that chocolate cake. But if there's chocolate cake and then vanilla cake, and I like both equally, there's no broccoli around, right? Then I have all of a sudden, I have to make a decision now, they're both equally important to me. So which one am I going to choose? Right. So yeah, we have this crazy power in our mind and we need to counteract this power with negative force, negative energy. And that's going to be the subconscious's wiring towards trauma and towards negative events of our life. And we're going to have to push through that. We're going to have to push through those very distracting experiences that pull our consciousness towards that, keeping us in a place of fear and negativity, which will create more negative experiences, right? But we have to, and the greater light we have inside of us, the more challenged we will have been in the past, because the more light we really have to share with the world, to become a conduit, expressing through our light, Hashem's light, we will have to push back much more. We'll have much more resistance to expressing that light. It's just how it goes. You know, when I recently spoke to an organization for women that were divorced, and I was talking to one of the ladies, and I said, like, you know, I want to work with this organization so badly because you may come across to others as, you know, like, oh, poor you, we should do chesed for you. But reality is that I said, you're the ones that hold the power to leading Klal Yisrael into our greatness, because you all have so much amazing light. And that's why you'll be met with a big challenge from the past coming into the future. And the more we work through our past, the less it needs to come with us into our future. The more, and I don't mean just sitting around talking about inner childhood trauma, like doing the inner child work stuff. I'm not really so into that, actually. Yes, there's a time and place for that as well. And for many people, it's really, really, really helped. But it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, rehashing and reliving all those terrible experiences as a child. It means just coming to awareness of where is my thought process now after going through challenges in my childhood. What is the manifestation of this trauma? Is it that I believe that I'm worth nothing? Does it mean that in all relationships, I need to be the one working and doing everything for everyone all the time, and I don't deserve love and care unconditionally? And therefore your life will revolve, a person's life will reflect that, will mirror exactly those beliefs to them. We don't have to know the story to see the repercussions. We just need to know the beliefs. We need to know what we've taken out of it. What are we carrying with us? Because the story is really over. It's the beliefs that we carry. Those are what keeps the pain alive now, today, with us at this moment, right? So that's why I don't go into the inner child work so much, even though it's definitely powerful for many people. And for many people, it's really been transformative. But for me, I'm I like doing things more fast. And we just go, what's the belief? What do we, how are we looking at ourselves now? And is it true? And how can we change that? Right. And then there's meditations, and there's different ways of taking out those negative beliefs. I know the book, The Secret. Can you give a Jewish equivalent? Yeah, well, Hasidus. The secret is a drop in the bucket to the truth of the world. The secret is a drop in the bucket. The world is getting in on the law of attraction, 100%. But there's much more than just the law of attraction. This is just the beginning. Oh, what's the website? Okay. I'm going to type the website here. Everyone just copy and paste it into your, somewhere. Change your mind. It's with a dash. changeyourlife.com. Okay. Okay. So now, anyone have any other questions? You can unmute if you want. No? Okay, fine. So we're going to move on. Slide 5. Okay. Okay, so here we see the classical atom, which is based on Newton. This is the classical atom over here. Okay. And then we see the quantum atom, which is like, you see, it's like very it's not so specific. It's not mass-like, it's not matter-like, it's more energy, right? So basically what the world has come to realize at this point is that old school Newton science is everything is fixed, matter is fixed. It was mind over matter. It's like this is how it is, but I'm going to have a positive attitude, but it's unchangeable, right? That's Newton science, old school. But then they realized there's the quantum atom, and they did a lot of experiments making them realize something fantastic and amazing, that based off of the observation of this atom, it changed its form between energy and matter. The expression of this atom was based off of observation, consciousness. Okay, consciousness is focus. Where's your focus? Based off of a human being's observation, based off of observation, okay, the actual atom changed its form. That's mind-blowing. That is absolutely mind-blowing. Every single thing in the physical world is made out of energy, right? The table that this computer is on is energy, but it's so condensed that it's become mass-like and it's become physical, but it's made out of energy, right? It's interesting, but all emotions are energy. Love and joy, if you look at it on the energy chart, you'll see that it's very eerie. It looks like this quantum atom. It's very light, right? When you're happy, right? You feel light, you feel energized, you could run. When you're depressed, you can't move. You can barely talk. That's how heavy you feel. Why do you feel heavy? Because the emotion is a heavy emotion. It's much more dense-like. It becomes more mass-like, okay? The way every single thing in the world is energy. The way you see something changes its expression. This line can change your life. The way you observe, the way you see something creates the manifestation of that thing. Basic examples that I see all the time. Relationship issues, marriages, children. Many times there is real dysfunction. There is toxicity. There are unhealthy behaviors. Yes, I won't say that those things don't exist in relationships that are challenging, 100%. Many times the Western perspective will obsess over the individual who's struggling behaviorally, whether it's through addictions, whether it's through anger and violence, or whether it's through shutting down, being emotionally absent. The Western perspective will hone in and consciously focus on what's going wrong. And that is expected to heal. No wonder why people stay in this paradigm of forever searching for help and getting nowhere many, many, many times. Hasidus talks all about how to see another person. Hasidus talks about the power of your vision. And if you get onto my WhatsApp group, you'll hear all about this content all the time. How are you viewing your problems? How are you viewing the people that are problematic in your life? How are you feeling? How are you, which is going to create the thinking. Who's in charge of you, your situation or you? How are you choosing to think? Where is your focus? Because quantum physics explains clearly through experiment after experiment that your observation will clearly impact the outcome, the manifestation of what you're viewing. This, I think, is earth-shattering, mind-blowing. Right? So we went from old school, which is mind over matter, to now mind is matter. Your mind is the matter you now experience. And this really wakes us up to shaking into the reality that maybe we're partially responsible for the challenges we have. And then once we have this awareness, we start to go inward into ourselves and say, where is my power to change my mind, to produce healing in myself and in others? And by the way, yes, in ourselves. How many times do we say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't. And yeah, we won't get the job. Yes, we'll constantly be the butt of someone else's criticism. We'll call for abuse to take place over us. We'll be the scapegoat. Because our energy, our consciousness is reflecting our thought process about ourselves. Yes, based off of our traumas, based off of our past, maybe based off of a guilt. Even if we had a perfect childhood, things come into us from before birth, right? So just to show everyone two amazing examples here, we can look at Dr. Emoto, who did an experiment on plants and on water. So he took 3 plants and he divided 3 groups. And he said, he took 3 plants and he had, he did 3 different exercises with each plant. The first plant, he did nothing to. He just planted it. He took care of it, watered it. Very nice. The second plant, he took care of its, physical needs, watered it, put it by the sun, but he sang and praised it every day. The third plant, what he did was he cursed it, yelled and screamed at it. After a few weeks, he looked at the growth of the plants. The first plant looked like a normal plant. Nothing had been done to it, said to it. The second plant, who had been praised and been spoken to nicely, was looking absolutely gorgeous, much significantly nicer than the regular standard plant that nothing had been done to it. The third plant had barely grown. The third plant that was yelled and screamed at had barely grown. And, I feel like everyone says, and who do we talk to in ways that are not nice? But I'm going to tell you, don't we talk to ourselves in ways that are not nice? Yes, our family members too, but even ourselves. How important is it to be able to recognize the power of our speech towards ourselves and our thought process, right? Because speech is a reflection of thinking. Our thinking about ourselves, and replacing shoulds and coulds and all this to just self-love. I'm allowed to just exist. I'm allowed. And Hashem loves me so much. Can I just love myself too? Just because, unconditionally, without measuring myself to success or this or that or whatever? Because you're divine pulsating light. You deserve to love yourself. And so much greatness will come out, right? When we view ourselves from that lens. Does anyone have a question? Anyone want to ask anything? We're a cute little group, so. Okay, no one wants to say anything? Okay, fine. So we'll move on. Dr. Emoto did this with another experiment. He did it with plants. He did it with water, and he did the same thing. He, 1 cup of water, he just left plain. Another, he sang to, praised, and another he cursed and yelled at, and he froze the water. And then each of the 3 categories were inspected under a microscope after it was frozen. The one that had nothing, nothing was done to it, just looked like nice, regular frozen icicles. and the one that had been sung to and praised had absolutely beautiful crystals when it was broken down. And the water that had been yelled at and cursed at had literally, the wording is grotesque crystals that were seen. That is amazing. I find that mind-blowing. And really, this whole concept of the observer effect, how you view something is how it can manifest, is really like hinting towards bitachon. It's leaning towards bitachon. Is this falls under the scope of bitachon, but bitachon is, is the real deal. Bitachon is the real deal, but most people don't really understand truly what bitachon is, right? Bitachon encompasses all this law of attraction and all this stuff, right? But we know that famous story of that lady who was so poor and she didn't have any oil to light her Shabbos candles. And so she told her husband, right, if Hashem can right, perfect for Hanukkah, the Hanukkah story, right? If Hashem could allow, light oil to burn, then vinegar can burn as well. And because she believed it so deeply, her thought process was so real and genuine that observer effect, we could say, right? Consciousness creates, right? And the vinegar just lit like oil, right? So this is where bitachon is like so beautifully understood, like through the lens of this right now, the current science and all that. It's amazing. For me, it shifted my whole understanding of, wow, what does this mean? There is so much depth. There's so much power here, and we can access it. So what comes into manifestation is always going to be first in thought, last in deed, right? As we see Shabbos was sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila, right? And it's amazing because Hashem is directly telling us, how do we create? We create first in thought. And everything gets created through thought, good and bad. So just like thinking is like planting. You take a seed, you put it in the ground, and it grows. But you can plant wheat for challah or poisonous drugs that a person can overdose with and die, or not overdose, eventually die, right? The ground will produce whatever is planted. Your mind will bring towards you whatever's in it. So don't we want to prune out those neurotransmitters that are wired towards negativity, trauma, fear, low self-esteem, not being worthy, so we don't consciously bring it into our experience? Because everything starts in thought, last in deed. When we look at a deed, we look at a manifestation of something, and we say, oh, where did this come from? We need to think, where did it come from? You see how the Torah teaches us so beautifully how to heal from the inside out? Isn't that gorgeous? I think that's gorgeous. You're not victims. I'm not a victim. You're not a victim. We have power. We have power to heal and to change. This is absolutely amazing. No one can just do something to me. I have power. I can choose how I think. Naturally, our consciousness gets very distracted with the things that don't go well. This is where we have bechira. If our consciousness would only get distracted by the things that go right, we would be holding magic wands all the time, which when Mashiach comes probably is what's going to end up being. We're just going to see the light so clearly. We're going to see how everything's so good that we're just going to be recreating good. But here in Galus, where we have true bechira, we have a lot of darkness, right? That is not really dark, but it seems dark to our human brains, right? And so we have bechira, and we can actually choose. But naturally, our consciousness will get distracted by the things that don't go well. If I'm looking at, what's an example? If I have a paper cut, if I get a paper cut and I'm bleeding on my finger, I am probably going to be like, ow, I have a paper cut. And I might even let myself, focus on that paper cut for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even though my heart is beating, I'm alive, walking, talking, young and healthy, food in the pantry, Good things going on, right? But I'm probably going to sit there, ow, my paper cut, maybe I need a bandage, should I put Neosporin on, which I do, ow, it really hurts. I can't believe I got a paper cut, right? Right? Or a burn or whatever, right? So it just, for us to recognize naturally, our consciousness goes towards what's bad. And this is to create that bechira, that free choice for us. Right? I wrote an example of fear of abandonment means that there's a thought of I may possibly be abandoned. Therefore, I can now attract that fear and I can manifest it. So that's just one example of someone that may have been abandoned as a child. So that's, in their mind, it's a neurotransmitter that's thick and been, there's a lot of them, a fear of abandonment, because they had that experience, right? What you have actually gets produced in your brain, a physical experience, neurotransmitter that is screaming, don't abandon me, right? And because that is alive and kicking in that person's mind, most likely, if they don't do the inner work, they'll experience experiences that will produce abandonment. So I wrote over here, and I think this line is amazing. The root of change is in the control of our emotional experience through changing our feelings through thinking greater than we feel. I'll say it again. The root of change is in the control of our emotional experience through changing our feelings through thinking greater than we feel. So basically, it's really through changing our thoughts that are going to be greater than our emotions. If I'm just feeling depressed and I'm like, oh, I'm so depressed, I can't move. Life is horrible. Because you see how I'm feeling so depressed. And then I'm like, okay, I have to validate that emotion. So I'm like, yeah, life is horrible. I have so much to do. I can't get it done. Whatever is going on, right? I'm validating my experience and I'm just going into that more depressed feeling more and more and more. But if I'm feeling bad, and this actually happened recently, last week, what's today, Wednesday? It was almost a week ago. I was feeling kind of like low. And I knew that I was emotionally a little bit like dropping, and I didn't want that to happen. So I acknowledged that I was feeling a little bit, down. And I did something to raise myself, to raise my spirits. We call it raising vibration. If anyone's familiar with that, raising raising your vibration. And I went out and I just got myself some ice cream. I took my son out with me, my 6-year-old. We went on an ice cream date. I got some ice cream. I don't even love ice cream so much. I just wanted to do something to just get me out of that place, right? So I just focused on, okay, what can get me out of this? What can get me out of this? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. It's dangerous to be in a negative place. I don't want to track negative things, right? And it really worked. It was an hour of feeling a little bit out of it. And thank God I was able to raise myself much higher, right? Because I have awareness that my thought process is so powerful and I don't want that to be controlling my experiences and magnetically drawing negativity towards me. So I catch it. I try my hardest to catch it. I'm definitely not perfect, but I definitely try to catch it. And that's the ultimate not being a victim. Instead of being a victim, like everything's coming at me negatively, it's like, hey, I'm feeling this emotion, but I can overcome it through my thought process, through awareness, and through doing something to raise me a little bit. And a lot of times it's just talking to yourself. It's not necessarily going out to buy ice cream. It can be telling yourself you're doing a great job and you're amazing, and comforting words that you need to hear. Okay. What time is it? I just want to look at time. I don't want to keep everyone all day, obviously. Oh, it's 12:55. I'm shocked. I cannot believe this. Okay, so you know what? I was actually going to go into this whole long thing about this, but we're going to skip it. And I'm going to go into Hanukkah because this is so important. This is the slide I'm going to skip. but I'm going to obviously just tell you one or two things, okay? This is it. Hold on a second. Let me see this. Okay. You are light. Use it right. You are power. You are divine energy. I'm not making this up. It says, "Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim, v'hi ha'adam nefesh chaya." Right? Hashem blew into man the living force, the living energy, and he became alive. What force was blown into us? The force straight from Hashem, Hashem's breath, right? We are divine light. In essence, we are divine light. Now, let's get into Chanuka, okay? It's really almost a shame that I can't go into this because it is just so amazing. I love this slide. It's intense, but it's really beautiful. But I'm going to just try to shorten it. We're probably going to go a few minutes over one, but whoever needs to leave can leave. The Zohar tells us something amazing, that light was birthed from darkness. We see Hashem created darkness first, and then only afterwards there was this great light. All light, all goodness, all Yeshuos come from a place of deep darkness. And the Svarim go even further and say that darkness is really compressed light. It's really light, but compressed down. It's a lot of light, and to us it looks like darkness. So that makes things even more confusing, right? But this whole slide is all about the people in your life or yourself that are really challenging and really, quote unquote, dysfunctional. And being able to see the negative behaviors or the negative experiences as just the shell protecting the light within. If you do this in your life towards yourself, towards a spouse, towards a child, towards a difficult neighbor, towards anyone, you will see drastic changes. Drastic, I guarantee it. I've done this myself. I've had clients do this. One session, I've had clients come to me, hear this concept. In one session, their life has turned upside down for the good, for the good. When we're able to look at people and say, wow, you are just in so much pain, and you're right in their mind, you're just, it's so much pain from your past, and that person's living really within their traumas, within their past. They're living within that, I call it, right? That's why I'm calling it klipa energy, dark energy. That's what they identify themselves with, right? All this negativity, they're so lost, they're so far from the truth of who they are. They fear abandonment and fear people robbing them and fear not being good enough and fear of failure and fear all these terrible negative things because they're wired from past that hurt them and harmed them and made them question their own validity, right? And they never did the healing work. So now they're really problematic because as the healing work isn't done, the problems from the past become thicker and more alive. Unfortunately, if we don't do the work, the past becomes more alive, killing us in the moment that we're actually living, right? And so when you look at someone that has a past that is eating them up alive in the moment, and you have to deal with that, right? But you're able to show compassion and love and let your eyes cut through that darkness to realize that they have so much inner light. And that is why they are met with so much darkness on the outside. But you have the wisdom to know and see their truth. You start to melt the darkness that keeps themselves hiding in their klipa energy. You literally start to take those chains that chain these individuals and you start to break them free. This is crazy power all through the way you view them, all through your mind. Yes, people like this need deep energetic healing, and I'm all for energy healing, and I'm all for the right energy healing. Also, I definitely highly recommend getting healed through energetic ways as well. Although this consciousness awareness is also energy. This changes the energy in your life as you change your thought process, because all energy is a reflection of thinking, right? So when you're able to cut through the negative experience you're a part of, or you're being met with, by seeing the light within the person, you start to become a healer, a shliach of Hashem, to bring healing into the world for yourself and for others. So what is Chanuka about? Let's go into Chanuka. This is so beautiful. I'm so excited. I love this. I wrote it on my notes here and my phone. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Let's pull it up and open. Okay. Chanuka. I'll try to go a little fast because I know it's late. It's 1 o'clock already. Okay. There's 2 types of fire that was created in this world. One fire consumes. Okay. And that's like the fire that we light. A fire that consumes, right? You take a candle, you light it, it melts the wax, it melts the wick, right? In order to be a light, right? Then there's a secondary fire, which is called higher fire. And this is fire that burns without consuming anything. An example of this would be with Moshe Rabbeinu when he was passing by the sneh and he saw, hey, this bush isn't burning. What's going on here, right? This fire he was seeing was actually this higher level fire, okay? So what fire is this higher level fire? This higher level fire was introduced into the world before the luminaries were even created, right? Before the luminaries, the sun, moon, stars, right? All these things that produce light, before they were created, Hashem had created light. What was that light? That was this light, this secondary, this higher fire light that burns without consuming. Really powerful fire, okay? Now, let's look, and this fire is titled the Or Haganas, the most potent, powerful light that exists, right? Adam was able to see from one end of the world to the other through this light. Now, let's look at Adam again and understand that they were in Gan Eden for 36 hours before they ate from the Eitz Hadassah. Now, these 36 hours are 36 hours that represent full light. They were there, immersed in this Or Haganas and this amazing, amazing, amazing light. And for these 36 hours, we have the 36 Masechtos of Talmud, of Gemara, right? That correspond to these 36 hours of untainted hours without sin, without eating from the Eitz Hadassah. And what happened was that after they ate from the Eitz Hadassah, we know that Adam hides, and we know Hashem calls out, and Hashem says, Ayaka, where are you, right? But really Hashem was saying something else. Hashem, Ayaka, has the same numerical value of 36, the 36 hours of this beautiful, blissful light without any aviros being done, right? And Hashem was saying, Ayaka, where is your brilliant, glowing light? Where are you? Where is your light? Kislev, right? The month Hanukkah falls out into, comes from the word kis, which means hiding, and then Lamed Vav, which means 36. The 36 hidden lights. Kislev brings the Or Haganas, the 36 hidden lights, into the world. And if we count the amount of lights we light in total on Hanukkah is 36 on the menorah, right? 1 and then 2 and then 3 and 4, it's all 8, right? Every night it totals 36, representing the 36 lights that are hidden of the Or Haganas. Now it's very interesting, but when we discuss the miracle of the oil, which oftentimes, right, everyone's like, oh, Hanukkah's coming, let's say Devar Torah. What happened Hanukkah? Oh, wow, the oil should have lasted 1 day, but it burned for 8. And yes, in fact, that's true. That's amazing. And therefore we celebrate Hanukkah and we say we do the whole thing about the first was natural, but nature isn't natural. And right, I'm sure we've all heard that. So we celebrate 8 nights, but really there's something even more deep and so profound about this. And it talks about the type of light that was expressed and experienced on Hanukkah. And the type of light was not the first level of fire that needs to consume something in order to exist, but rather it's the fire that exists without consuming. It's the Or Hagana's light that actually was expressed physically on the menorah after the few had won the many, after the whole miracle of Hanukkah was experienced, right? And this is amazing because it's coming to show us something more about ourselves. Hold on a second. So what's going on with this? What is the menorah, lighting the menorah and recognizing that this is the Or Hagana's to have to do with us? So it's very interesting. But if you look at the story of Hanukkah, you see that the Greeks, they wanted us, it's actually brought down the word shechacha, to forget. They wanted us to forget the Torah. Torah represents light. They didn't want us just to forget the text of the Torah. They wanted us to forget the light that burns without consuming within our very being, within our very essence, within us. We are light, right? When Adam ate from the Eitz Hadassah, Hashem says, Ayaka, where is your light? Where is your light? The Greeks knew that if they would remove our own awareness of our very light within us that burns without consuming, right? Because we're all alive, right? Thank God we're not being consumed by this fire, which is why it hides so deeply within us. If it would burn a little bit, maybe we would notice it more. This amazing power, this light. But it was this light that is breathed within us, right? We are divine light. And we have so much power to be a co-creator, right? But oftentimes we forget about our divine light. Why? Why do we forget? And this was the point of the Greeks, the Yavanim. They wanted us to forget the Torah, to forget our very own light within us. They wanted to destroy us. All Amalek, all the Galios, right? It's all focused on us getting lost from ourselves, lost from our very light. And if you look today at all of us, me and you and everyone in between, you see the human race is, much of us are lost. Much of us are hiding from ourselves, hiding from Hashem, hiding from ourselves, because we feel so insignificant. We feel so not worthy. We feel like we don't deserve unconditional love. We feel like we're not good enough. And why? Why is that? Because our traumas from our past have become the force that we are connected to. And that is what Galus does to us. It's taking the traumas and causing us to become blinded to our very light and our very power. And when we light the menorah on Hanukkah and we remember, hey, the Or Hagana's, this hidden light, was re-entered into the world on Hanukkah, the light that exists without consuming, we rekindle the remembrance that we have this light within us. See, we don't rekindle that light within us because it's always in us. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as taking a Jew and saying, hey, your light, let me kindle it for you now. You don't have light, let me kindle it for you. No, we all have light, every single one of us, but we forget. So if we want to remember the niece of Chanuka, we have got to remember our light, because the Greeks wanted to destroy that. The Torah is light, and light is within us. And if we would hate ourselves and not believe in ourselves and say we'll never amount to much, they'll have won. But individually, we still struggle with this. And it's our job to counteract this negative Yavan energy that tries to destroy our light within. So when we light the Hanukkah menorah tonight, my bracha to all of us is to say, hey, Ayaka, where am I? And then to announce, I am here. I have brilliant, shining, gorgeous light within me. I have the power to be a co-creator with you, Hashem. I have the power to take my eyes and see people that are challenging and cut through that darkness and see their light. I have power. I am not a victim of circumstances. I can choose to rise above instinctive emotions. I can create a different energy through my thought process because I, in fact, am light. That is my bracha to all of us. Amen. And now the class is over. So if anyone wants to share any questions, thoughts, insights, I would love, love, love to hear. Okay, anyone want to share anything? Oh, here, let's hear. This is excellent and a powerful message. I have been hearing about the hidden light for the past. Let's see. Oh, wow, Chaya. The 36 hours of hidden light was unconditional love. Hashem took it away because people who weren't on that level would misuse it. Right. That's very true. And you should just know that that's why we have klipa. So the hidden light is within us. It's not really, I don't know if it's official, right? If it's within us, what protects the hidden light from being misused by others? The klipa and the negative energy, right? That we think is bad, but really it's a protection. Obviously, the person has to do healing work, but if they're not doing the healing work, we need to do the healing work. We need to do the healing work on ourselves so that the person shouldn't trigger us, and do the healing work by viewing them in ways that are helpful and positive for themselves to start to take steps towards doing healing work. Let's just see. Unconditional love. Thank you so much for such a powerful workshop. Thank you so much, Esther. This is excellent and a powerful message. I have been hearing about the hidden light for the past few days before and during Chanuka. I believe Hashem is wanting to give us a deeper understanding of this deeper and very special light. Definitely. Are you giving more classes? Thank you. Class is so enlightening and beautiful. Thank you so much, Tsirtsi. If anyone wants to join my WhatsApp group, please go to my website and click on the link in the website. You can just join straight from there. I'm not sure if I'm giving any more classes, introductory classes. I am actually going to be opening registration. I think tonight, actually, for my online course. It's $350 for 8 weeks, and that's going to be part 1. And then there's going to be a level 2. There's going to be a level 2 course also afterwards that I'm going to open up after the first part 8-week course. It's also another $350 if anyone wants to take that. But we're going to start with registration opening hopefully tonight, and I'll give everyone details later, whoever signs up, about when exactly we're starting. But it's going to be like midday, like 12 o'clock during the day, probably around this time. It will be longer than 1 hour. It's going to be 2 hours most likely, because I want to be able to do a lot of back and forth with you guys, and just a lot of trying to bring it down to practical examples in people's lives, especially the people that sign up. Now, this sign up is the first official Zoom sign up for the course. It's going to, I'm assuming it's going to probably be a smaller intimate group. So really it's an amazing opportunity for someone that doesn't want to have a large group to join. And prices are probably going to be going up also. So really, like, now is an amazing opportunity to really, to join now and have a lot of your own personal examples get recognized and worked with, you know? So yeah, it's all going to be on the website. Everyone could just go to the website and you'll find all the information there for sign up and everything else. Anyone else want to say anything? Claire, you want to say anything? Malky Cats, Claire, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I want to say that this is absolutely incredible, so motivating, and you're a fantastic teacher.
Thank you.
And it really, really makes you feel very hopeful of changing our lives from the inside. So yes, koach, I'm so impressed.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful job.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Keep on going.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you so much. Malky Katz, Chaya F. Anyone? Hannah, Esther, Sandy. Anyone want to say anything? I did it. I took myself off of mute and video. Anyone else? Anyone else want to do the same? I would love to hear from people. What's the difference between Saros and you feeding this reality? So this is a long question. But oftentimes it's about doing tikkun, obviously. When you have awareness that you have a tsar, you have to start working with your mind to shift it, not just to accept the challenge. Once you gain conscious awareness about this work, what I'm teaching you, your job is not to just accept the tsar. Your job is to change it. That's what I would say to Chaya F. Yeah, it will be recorded. Thank you, Malky. Amazing. Okay, everyone. It's 1:16, right? Late. So guys, have a great day.
I do have one more question.
Yeah.
The first class that you gave, I imagine it's offline now, but is it possible to repost it so that, because I didn't finish hearing the rest of it. I have to
Yeah. So actually it's on the website. It's uploaded to the website. So
fantastic.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Okay.
Thank you, Hadassah. Can't get enough.
Thank you, Esther. Amazing, Esther. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm drinking this like water.
I'm so happy. We need that. We all need it. We're all dehydrated. Totally. Thank you so much,
Very
Esther.
good.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Kaztow. Thank you.
It's so
much.
powerful and broke it down into such a bite size that you can do it. It's not like something that's like, will I do it? Can I do it? It's like very doable. Thank you.
Esther, thank you so much. I love that. Thank you so much. So Chaya said, is it easier to change thought process or action, inside out or inside in? The example of ice cream, i.e. example of ice cream. So I'm not sure what the example of ice cream is, but I think you have to do both. But I think that if you only do action without the changing the thought process, you'll kind of sabotage yourself, because you can do the action right. Like if someone's terrified to get the job they love, but they don't do the proper thought process change, and they just go and they say, I'm so scared of fear of failure, but I'm going to go get the interview anyways. And I'm going to go into the interview. Their energy will produce the person interviewing them to say that they're not worthy of the job. So that's why it's really important that even if you just take action, you must do the thought process at the same time or before. And you'll never be really ready for the action, but you have to become a vessel that your action should be a vehicle to bring you what you desire. Going for ice cream with your son. Oh, is it easier to change thought process or action? The example was going, so every single thing is relevant. Every single thing is relevant, meaning in the example I gave of feeling a little bit emotionally low and needing to just go out, that was what I needed to do then. Sometimes I need to be productive. I need to make a video for my WhatsApp group because that's going to make me feel better. Every single thing is sometimes I need to just go to bed early, you know? Everything is relevant. Everything is relevant. There's no one answer. The more we're connected to ourselves, the more we'll gain awareness as to what we need to get us out of that funk, you know? Oh, those are all actions. To change thought process or action. Well, it's a good question. I don't know. I think for myself, I do a lot of action things and then I change my thoughts. I think. Like when it comes to my specific mood, I think action can just changing your environment, changing a situation. It naturally helps change your thought process. The whole goal is to change your thought process. So it's like, what's going to be the most productive way to change my thought process? Is it just going to be sitting in the same place where I'm feeling like a piece of stone? I can't move. I'm energetically frozen because I'm in fear, let's say, or I'm feeling sad or depressed or whatever it is. And now let me just play with this, you know, like with this same experience right now and try to change my brain? Or should I get out, get into a new environment, see different people, eat some ice cream, go to the gym, go down, I don't know, anything, go take a walk outside, go look at a bird flying in the sky. What is going to help me change this brain, this mind, right? I think that's really the question and the answer. What is most impactful of changing the minds? And a lot of times, yeah, action is great. Action, seeing a friend, making a phone call, going to bed early, whatever it is. Anyone else? Thank you, Chaya. Thanks. Okay, guys, all is good. Alles geht. Wow. Thank you, Claire. Thank you so much. Amazing, amazing. Fine, everyone, have a beautiful rest of Hanukkah, and we will be in touch with more inspiration coming on the WhatsApp group and opened registration tonight. So looking forward. Hopefully you guys will sign up and we'll rock out.
Well, one more question, Hadassah.
Yeah.
Could you give us a brief idea what you're going to be covering in the class? I mean, besides more of the same, like how?
Yeah. So it's interesting because a lot of my stuff is very, like, I created my course before I came into Shifra's program, but like I talk a lot about like the snake energy. Like I also talk about that. It's like funny. I just, Hashem gave me the clarity, Siyata Dishmaya. Like I never had even heard of it from anyone else, but I'm talking about constantly pulling apart the good and the bad, constantly the good and the bad and everything, being able to like sift through, where is this coming from? Why is this coming? But also really like, I'm focusing a lot on relationships because I think that a lot of our, the way Hashem designed it is that a lot of the growth we need to do is through relationship. And a lot of times people focus on they want to make a difference. They want to become someone, they want to do something great in the world. But a lot of times the way to do that is through mastering your relationships. And mastering relationships means you can't control others. You can only work on you. So it means how to be in a healthy place with maybe dysfunctional relationships and how to do that, And I think that I don't know too many people that really focus on that, but that is highly, highly part of the program. So anyone that needs to hear anything relating to marriage or whatever, definitely I would say this is the place to be. And from focusing in on relationships, obviously we talk all about consciousness and seeing who's in an unconscious place, and then going into part 2, which is all about using tactics to help change your mind process and therefore your life. Part 2 is going to be much more the tools. Part 1 is much more the background. So yeah.
Do you know what day and time you're going to do the class yet?
It's probably going to be also Wednesdays around 12 probably, but we'll see. Not sure.
Can we start at
What did you say, Esther?
Can we start at 11:45 so I can do the full 2 hours on Zoom, or
maybe
it's on the recording?
No, it's definitely an option. We'll see.
It's
Be in
really
touch with me.
no, I'm saying it's really worth taking it.
Yes, hold on. Let me just do this recording. If yes, an email notification of that recording.